Hey, and welcome back to another
Hey.
edition of the Blue Review. We are here on a Thursday morning, not a Wednesday. I almost said Wednesday because I'm losing track of my days here. But
Please
it's
don't
good to
back
see you.
up this week.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. How we doing this morning, Marcus?
Good. Yeah, things are good. I was saying before the show, the broccoli in the backyard is sprouting. The strawberries are starting to come in nicely. It's a good day so far.
I love that you have this giant green thumb and go sit out in your backyard and broccoli. Making broccoli. That's
Broccoli,
fantastic.
strawberry, the chamomile. I clip the chamomile. I dry it out. I make tea. Like it's a whole thing over here in the off season. Trust me.
Oh wow,
that is amazing.
Can you bring it next time you come in? Can you bring in some of the strawberries?
I will try, provided the fruit flies haven't gotten to them.
Get them away.
Right.
Man, I love learning new things about Marcus. That's awesome. Hey, go Dodgers. Dodgers complete the sweep as we saw at Citi Field. Will Smith, have yourself a series. Man, Willie Dills went to work. We're going to get into all that in just a sec. Of course, I'm here with Corporate Greg. And, oh, no.
Oh, you were so good.
You had it yesterday.
You've been so good.
Darn it. Darn it. I'm here with Corporate Greg. Of course, you saw Green Thumb, Marcus Grant here, and then myself, Parker Bell. Man. Well, yes, Dodgers got it. We're going to get into it. Before I do, I just want to remind everyone, we're presented by LAX here at Los Angeles International Airport. You got changes arriving daily, reducing traffic, saving guest time, and just a ton of great stuff happening over there at the LAX. And if you want to find out more, you can check it out at flylax.com/transforminglax, flylax.com/transforminglax. So let's get into baseball, guys, because there's no baseball today. So how did we feel about the series? I think just in general, Greg, I'll start with you. I mean, of course, you had the doubleheader. Things looked good. The people felt good after 2 wins in one day. And then yesterday, Will Smith and the guys carry the offense. So in general, what are you seeing about this Dodgers team? How are you feeling?
I think what we're seeing is that something is happening at the bottom of the lineup. Finally, it took them till about the 8th inning, but the bottom of the lineup finally starting to hit. I think what was the number that we came up with earlier, Parker, for the bottom lineup yesterday? 10 of 18.
Yeah, they were 10 of 18, over 500. So
yeah, so below the whole thing was that below Teoscar Hernandez, nobody was getting any hits, and actually over the weekend got 0 hits. And now yesterday they went 10 of 18, including a double, a home run, a triple. I mean, I think it's actually 2 doubles, or 2 home runs, one or the other. But no matter what, they're actually starting to hit. And when they hit, the whole team does well, and they put up 10 runs and they sweep teams. So, the bottom lineup has such a big portion of what we would need to have to be successful on this team. You talked about it yesterday, Marcus. It puts so much pressure on the top, and they did great yesterday. So hopefully that kind of just continues to happen. I don't know if it will, because they are not the best, but I will say this. I'm really been in just a whole year so far. Miguel Rojas has been extremely impressive this year, just finding ways to get hits in big spots. And he doesn't play very often, but when he's in there, I kind of trust that he's going to get a hit in a pretty good spot.
What is it? I think they mentioned on the broadcast yesterday. Now after the win in the finale, I think they're 15-0 when he gets a hit, and
wow,
they are 8-0 when he drives in a run. I don't know if he had an RBI yesterday, but either way, he gets a hit.
I think he did.
And it's great. It was great to see. They always say the old adage, hitting is contagious, and you see it start to roll along. I mean, look, Jason Hayward comes off the bench and gets a triple and a home run into at bat. You mentioned it the other day, Greg. I mean, maybe Andy Pages is starting to get hot again. Obviously, it didn't seem like his confidence waned. He was going up there still hacking at everything that was, in the zip code. But now he's starting to get hits again, get on base, drive in runs. So it seems to be rolling over. And then you get back to the top of the order, and Shohei, who had been in a bit of a slump, has an RBI single, hits a home run as well. So it really is starting, that bottom of the order kind of getting something going. It kind of greases the chute for the guys at the top of the order to be more comfortable, to be more loose, and go back to doing what they do best.
Did you see the home run from Ohtani? It's like that. Most people in the league cannot make that a home run.
No,
he was like stretching out, just like kind of tapped it, and it was just see ya. The power that was not a home run swing.
He quite literally broke Jorge Lopez, which we can get into that maybe later. But he quite literally broke him.
just real fast on Jorge Lopez, because that is a big thing that's going around right now. SNY put out a terrible, terrible tweet about him.
Oof, it was bad.
I understand that he got DFA'd, and he got DFA'd because he's just not a very good pitcher anymore. Or I don't think he's ever really been that great of a pitcher. But they tweeted out that he said, "I think I've been on the worst team in probably the whole blanking MLB."
Mm-hmm.
That's not what he said. And there's 4 million views, 4.5 million views on this. And what he actually said was, "I think I've been the worst teammate in the entire effing MLB." So he was putting it on himself and saying how bad he has been, but he's ready. He's ready to be here tomorrow, which was today, and ready to work. But they put it out there and he got DFA'd. I don't know if he got DFA'd because of that quote, but the fact that he got DFA'd after that is pretty bad.
I mean, he also threw the glove, and
sure,
and like you said, he wasn't.
He was angry. Whatever. Throwing a glove.
It is tough seeing though when your English is not your first language. Seeing a social media squad run with something like that, yeah, that kind of upset me as well. Being in that world.
Yep.
Yeah. But it was. I would say it was a rough outing for him. I mean, it's been a rough year for the Mets. I think they're on pace for like 95, 96 losses, something like that. Nothing has really worked for this team. The bullpen especially has been bad. Then they got worse news. Like I don't know. I haven't seen any updates on Pete Alonso, but he gets hit on the hand. He has to leave early. I mean, he's one of the few bright spots on this team. And if he's gone for any extended period of time, that's even worse news for a team that's already sinking toward the bottom.
Yeah, he hasn't. Pete Alonso hasn't really been hitting. He's obviously their best hitter, but it feels like he hasn't been doing so hot recently. BC says actually Jorge Lopez has been one of their more reliable relievers according to Mets fans channel. I mean, I don't watch enough Mets games to be able to say about that. He does have a .4 WAR, but his last 3 games he's given up 2 runs, 2 runs, 1 run. I mean, he's giving up runs and he's getting hit. He's given up 11 runs in 26 innings. That's not good. And 11 walks. That doesn't seem reliable to me. If I would be screaming for the Dodgers to DFA him.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you're talking about Lopez, I see a tweet out right now. Now it's not going to get the same number of views and clicks, but basically it's him clarifying. Whoever heard me say teammate and what I said on the situation, I've been the worst teammate. Thanks, media, for making it worse.
Well, there it is from the man himself.
Yeah, SNY should pull it down. They should apologize because I don't think that's the reason. SNY isn't the reason to get DFA'd, but at some point,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he was probably on his way to getting DFA'd anyway, and having that tweet out there just sort of made it all worse.
Yeah, and the throwing of the glove. I know it's New York and throwing your glove, fine. Like someone got a souvenir,
right? Right.
I mean, what are we doing here?
I think it landed in a Dodgers fan's hands, and they gave it up to New York. If I saw that correctly. But yeah, I mean, the game, that whole situation, crazy. You don't see that often in the league. But the game itself, I think, Greg, like you mentioned, the greatest part yesterday, seeing that bottom half of the lineup go crazy. I mean, we were talking about Miguel Rojas 4 for 5, and I think he's now hitting 284 on the season. So when he plays, he does well. And Marcus, that stat you brought up, I mean, 15-0 when he gets a hit.
Yeah.
You can't say that about any other guy in the bottom half of the lineup. Jeez.
But it goes back to what we said earlier this season too. Like, he is in a great role for him. He's never going to be the guy, at least at this point in his career, that can go out and play every day and be effective for you. But he is one of those guys that the Dodgers have excelled at having on their roster in recent years. That guy that can come in, be the utility guy. He can give you, obviously, he gives you a lot with his glove. That's what you love. But the fact that he contributes just enough with his bat too makes him worth having. He is kind of what Chris Taylor had been. He is what Kike Hernandez had been for years. Just that guy that, either when somebody gets a day off or somebody's hurt, you can plug him in the lineup and feel like, at least for a stretch, for a week or so, you're not going to have a major fall off either in the field or in the bottom part of the lineup. For Taylor and Kike, it's been a little more of a struggle this year, but Rojas has filled that role very well this year.
Yeah, Rojas has been great, and that was a great point. I really like it, that what Taylor and Kike were supposed to be and have been in the past. That's exactly what he's doing, and he's doing it and consistently. It's just really nice to see that you don't worry when Rojas is in the game for his glove, right? You're just like, okay, I can be okay with it. He's going to be solid wherever, second base or shortstop or even third, solid. But if he's going to get a couple hits every here and there, he doesn't have to have a 4-hit game every single time out.
Would be
I mean,
nice.
it'd be nice. I'm not going to complain, but but if he can keep doing that, he's going to be someone that's going to be very, very valuable throughout the season.
Speaking of somebody who's very, very valuable, Will Smith, the best catcher in the game. We got to get into him. So 3 for 5 yesterday with the 2 home runs. And I know there were 2 solo jacks, but still, this dude is just seeing the ball like crazy right now. It's a beach ball to him. 5 of his last 7 hits have been homers. I saw in the chat, I think it was Ruben Flores. Let me see. Yes, sir. Our boy Ruben Flores in the chat saying, I'd like to see Will Smith hit 300 by the All-Star game, in which he will be playing. So Marcus,
you should.
Willie D, does this team roll as Will Smith rolls? Because it appears that you already know Mookie and Freddie are going to give you, and Shohei are going to give you what you get. But when Will Smith plays, it's like you said with Rojas, they just seem to win.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely goes a long way, right? They always say that there's something in the water in New York, right? That's why the bagels and the pizza are so much better. And apparently, it works on Will Smith, whatever this thing in the water is. Maybe we can bottle it and bring some back to LA. He really is kind of a pivot point in the lineup. I think him, and I also think Max Muncy, when he's back and he's healthy, are pivot points in that lineup, because it does sort of transition you from those first 3 guys to that bottom part, which, we don't need to talk about that again. And even Muncy, right? Like, we know for Muncy, the average isn't ever really going to be super high. I mean, he's not going to hit 290 or anything like that, but he is very good at situational hitting. He will drive in runs. He will get sack flies, and then he will give you those power numbers with the home runs and stuff. So, Will Smith, a big part of this. Max Muncy, when he's back and hitting that 5th slot again, presumably, he's another big part of this as well. So, I mean, I think they really are sort of, I don't want to call them the anchors, because you're still expecting a lot out of Mookie and Shohei and Freddie. But it does sort of, doesn't allow pitchers to really take that deep breath. I guess I should throw Teoscar in there too. I can't really, ignore him, because he's very good at driving in runs as well. So suddenly, instead of having, 3 or maybe 4 guys that you have to worry about, now you're looking at, 6 guys that suddenly are making a big impact on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's I like the way you're putting that too. It's like, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying today.
I like this.
Weird. This is a good day. It's a good day. Because of how he's been playing. I mean, I talked about it earlier in the season. We did that. If he continued to play the way he was playing, he could get MVP votes down the line. I mean, I think that's probably a little bit of hyperbole. He's not going to stick with it that whole time, but he started to dip off, and now he's starting to come back up, and he's starting to be that guy that he was. If he can, to Ruben Flores' point, if he can hit 300 by the time we get to the All-Star break, this team is going to just take off. If you actually have that 1 through 6 when Max Muncy comes back, to your point, like 6 just clicking on all cylinders, 7, 8, 9 will not be as big of a problem, but obviously still makes a giant difference because of what they can do. I think you have a lineup that it was a bad stint. It was just going through the motions, and just where it was everybody in the lineup was struggling at the time. Freddie, Shohei, Mookie was even, his power numbers are way, way down from the beginning of the season. And Smith wasn't hitting. You just didn't have anybody that was doing anything outside of really Teoscar Hernandez. So if that whole thing can figure itself out, and it will, that's why we can't live and die by every game, but that's what we have to do on the Blue Review, because otherwise we have no show.
It's what fans do too,
Right. Yeah, that's what we have to do. But I really think that when Max Muncy, do we have any idea, Parker, when Max Muncy is supposed to be back?
I mean, their word is still that he's just 10 to 15 day IL, and that there's really no update. It's just one of those weird oblique strains that no big update as of yet.
Okay. Great. But yeah, this lineup will be fine going forward. And I just, hopefully that these are the types of games that gets everybody moving again and finding their power stroke.
It's funny too, because for most of that game, they were up 3-0 for a long time. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this has been very, very workmanlike, right? It hasn't been spectacular, but it was like a get them on, get them over, get them in sort of thing. I mean, you had the home run from Will Smith, and I'm like, okay, this was fine, right? Like, I had no problem with how things were going. Then obviously the Mets tie it up, and then 8th, 9th inning, you have the explosion of the 7 runs there with the big power numbers, and it's like, okay, well this is the Dodger team we remember from April and maybe the early part of May. It was nice to see them come back again. So, but I will always hold to. I do enjoy watching this team that can figure out how to grind out runs occasionally, because that's the thing that has killed them so much in October. When you are facing quality pitching day in and day out in a postseason series, you're not dealing with, the Mets bullpen or guys like that. And you're not going to get, meatballs to just yank over the fence all the time. So seeing them kind of figure out how to, get runners over, drive them in with, base hits or sac flies, that's the team that I kind of really get more excited about seeing and kind of want to see them on a more regular basis.
Yeah, because unfortunately, this is the Mets. We got swept by the Reds. You had a bad outing against the Diamondbacks, but the Mets also still not a very good team. They played poorly against the Nationals earlier in the year. This is not, Zach Wheeler and Max Fried and right. Like these types of guys that you're going to be seeing in the postseason. And it's going to be their number 1, 2, and 3 starters. So you're going to be, and all of their very best relievers. It's nice to get these runs against these teams that like smacking around Jorge Lopez. Fantastic. That's not a guy you're seeing in the postseason.
Yeah, weirdly though, and I had to go back and look it up again. I saw something that like basically the Dodgers have sort of played it down to their competition this year. That they have, they have a pretty good record against teams with winning records. Now, I also think they have yet to play a team that's in first place this year, just kind of by
currently
schedule.
Or yeah.
I mean, I think at least who were in first place at the time they played them. That's just a weird quirk of the schedule. You can only play the guys that are in front of you.
Sure.
But they really have struggled against teams that are below 500. And I don't know if that's just a lack of focus or what that is, but that's a weird thing. Hopefully they turn that around, because they leave New York. They have the Rockies for 3. They got the Pirates for 3 after that. So, I mean, this is a chance for them to sort of get fat and rebuild that lead in the NL West.
Yeah, what is it? They're 17-10 against teams above 500.
Yeah,
17-10. Oh, that's look at you coming right in with the stat.
Look at you.
Good for you. Just hearing what it is and going right to it. I like that.
But yeah, 6.5 right now is the lead, which is the largest lead of any team in Major League Baseball. So.
Right. Which weirdly is the Phillies are 6 games above the Braves.
Yeah,
and the Braves are in a
also
world of hurt right now.
That's probably going to increase, I would think, with no Acuna for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that was so to lose him again. Acuna is obviously one of the best players in the league, period. But his career is based around injuries. He's been injured most of his career. Last year was his MVP year, but every other year he missed significant amount of games due to injury, and now he's out again this year. That's tough. Yeah, that is a tough spot.
I believe it was out for a year, and then a COVID shortened season, and then out for a year, MVP, and now
out for a year.
Yeah, it's really tough. Maybe not out for a year the 3 years ago, but he was out for a significant amount of time, and it's a shame. He's one of the best talents in the game. Yeah. But speaking of one of the best talents in the game, and if not the face of the game, Ohtani, another. I mean, overall, I know he went like over 5. I think it was the other night, but he kind of made up for it yesterday with the home run, his 14th of the year. I wanted to kind of bring up this stat I thought was really cool. They mentioned on the broadcast, Citi Field, I think, was the one of maybe 7 fields he had yet to hit a home run in his career. Which, thinking about how long he's been in the league, really isn't all that long. And for him to only have not hit a home run in 6 fields, and one of them he's never even played at, which he will in a couple of weeks over at PNC against the Pirates. I wanted to see if maybe you guys could have a crack at the fields he may not have hit a home run at.
I cheated. I've looked. So I am out.
Man, that's the me guessing by myself.
I had seen it yesterday, by the way. Like, in full disclosure, I had seen the tweet yesterday. So
okay. Well, then just tell me, because I'm assuming they're all National League teams. It's probably teams like Miami,
exactly,
the Nationals, and I guess you said
no. He said one. He went in that part.
Okay. Let's see. Jeez, I don't know. Has he played in Philly? So would Philly?
That's another one.
Pittsburgh? It's Pittsburgh. One of them. Did you mention that?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where he's hit one in St. Louis. He's hit one in Chicago.
He has not hit one.
He's not hit one in St.
Oh, he
Louis.
has not hit one in.
He's
St.
hit one
Louis.
against
Wow.
St. Louis, but not.
Oh,
in
okay.
St. Louis.
All right. So probably is he? I don't think he's probably played in Milwaukee.
He has one in Milwaukee.
He has.
Oh, he does have one in Milwaukee. Okay.
One of them actually is in the Dodgers division, which is a little bit surprising.
Really? He's hit one down in San Diego. He's already hit it this year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He's hit one in Arizona.
He has not.
There it is.
No, did he not hit one in Arizona? Okay, because he had to have hit one in Colorado. That just has to.
Yes.
Everybody's hit one in Colorado.
So
am I missing one?
You've got them all but one, and unfortunately, he doesn't have a chance at this one again this season. But he has a chance at all the other 5 that you mentioned. The last one is in Cincinnati at Great American Ballpark.
Oh, so he had a chance. He just didn't do it
he
because they couldn't score a freaking run. That's why.
Yes.
No one did anything in Cincinnati.
The smallest of parks is the one that he could not get one in.
Yeah. So by next
Amazing.
year, hypothetically, he could have hit a home run in every single ballpark in only his 8th year, which is absurd to me. And he is, by far the greatest Japanese hitter to ever come across. So shout out to Ohtani for that. I just thought that was a really cool stat, and I know we've been messing around with these fun MLB stats the past couple.
I
of
like
days.
him. Keep doing them, and hopefully next time Marcus doesn't cheat.
I know, right?
I mean, great minds think
now
alike.
I'm sitting here going through I'm gonna go through a rabbit hole as you guys are talking. I'm trying to figure out how many times the Angels would have played in Cincinnati, for instance. It's not.
Right.
I don't think he's got many chances at some of these ballparks just because, the Angels probably haven't been there that many times.
Yeah, but that's going to change now that you're playing every team. So you're going to go home and eat back and forth years. So you're going to get more chances to do that, I guess. But he's obviously hit it against every AL team in every AL park.
Yeah.
So
easily.
Are you guys worried at all looking forward when they get to Colorado? Are you guys worried at all for Walker in a hitter's ballpark? Is there any kind of or do we think that we're going to see another solid outing like we have the last 2?
I worry a little bit. I think more than anything, I just want to see him replicate as much as possible that last start, and more about just command and control. Not going out there, and if he does get into trouble, not falling back into past habits of just trying to rear back and throw the fastball, because that's just not there anymore. So I'm more worried about just can he kind of stay within himself and go back to pitching the way he did his last time out. I think that is going to make all the difference.
Yeah, totally agree with you on that. Again, geez, everything is. I agree with you, Marcus.
This is great. We should bottle this show.
He's at Dodger Stadium, which obviously I think you had the stat earlier this year about they're giving him more home runs than any other ballpark in Major League Baseball right now for some crazy reason. But he's back at Dodger Stadium. He knows how to pitch here. I'm not too worried about that. It's about what Marcus is saying, that just staying within himself, dropping the velocity down into that 94, 96 range, and being a pitcher, finding his spots around the corners, and just trying to execute those pitches and execute them well, and have a nice thought on which way, changing eye levels, going up and down, doing all those things, and keeping hitters off balance, because he can do those things. Don't try and just blow something by these guys, because they're going to hit you. He doesn't have that ability so much anymore. Hope he could get it back at some point. He's coming off his second Tommy John, so he could get it back. But right now, just go ahead and just trying to keep the hitters off balance. And that if you can, like Marcus said, replicate what you did in that last start, he'll be just fine.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you for saving me on that one, guys, with the back at Dodger Stadium, because I totally was talking about the Dodger Stadium being a hitter's ballpark, and not that I thought they were in Colorado.
No,
I haven't had my
of course
yet.
not.
No,
absolutely. I was trying to just let it go by, but
I would never make a mistake. Never. Oh man. Well, I guess we're gonna be back tomorrow. We made a good. Not I guess, but we will be back. I did real quick want to mention
coffee, buddy.
I know. Excuse me. You did ask about Muncy. The latest we've heard from him is he's barely even swinging off a tee yet, so not optimistic on the Muncy return, which is unfortunate news. But we'll keep everyone updated on that as we learn more. But outside of that, the Dodgers will be back home playing Colorado, like I knew, and we will react to that when they start playing, but we'll be here tomorrow. Maybe do a little mailbag session since there's no baseball. One of those Friday mailbag sessions we've been trying to get going. So if you have any questions, think of them and then send them our way. But outside of that, thank you for being here. Thank you for being in the chat, being active. Appreciate you being here, Marcus. Appreciate you being here, Corporate Greg. I've been Parker Bell, and this has been the Blue Review. And you know what, Greg? I'll let you send us off.
The exit is going. You can go. You can go. Hey, see you tomorrow.
Bye.
See you guys.